Hey y'all, Craig Wall, Georgia Trapping and Fishing. Today we're going to be tanning some hides. I'm going to be using the Deer Hunters and Trappers hide tanning formula in the orange bottle. So let's get out there and tan some hides. Today we're going to start the process of getting these coons tanned out. First thing we're going to do is fill this up a tub of water here. First step is to take these hides, which are dried out, they're good and hard now. We're gonna get them in this water and let them soak. Okay, these hides have been soaking for about 20-30 minutes now. They're good and soft. So what I'm gonna do now is come over and get off any of this excess membrane I can right now. You can do it later on down the process, but it'll save you some time on doing some stuff. Okay, y'all, I'm not going to show you every one of them getting scraped or anything, but I just wanted to let you see one just to know. You think you got them fleshed out really good, but it's amazing how much fat is still left on this coon. The main part is up here around his neck. They are loaded with fat. So I like to try and get as much of this fat out of here as I can. But you can see how much fat is just coming out of here. So I just try and break it down. Makes it easier for that salt to penetrate it. And of course we can take it down some more later on in the process. I also go around and cut off any of this little stringy stuff. It's not doing any good anyway. I'm not really going for length since I'm not selling them. So what I'll do is right at the end I'll even them all up. Get all that fat out of there. There ain't a whole lot of fat on the belly, but it'll be a little bit around the leg area. I mean, I took my time with these, so you can see you're not going to get all of it off, but once you go through the tanning process, a lot of that'll come out. Alright, that's pretty much got it. We're going to get ready to start salting these. You can tell where I roughed all that up. See, that's all that extra fat. I tried to get as much off as I could, but these things are just so fat. Some of it's membrane, some of it's fat, so I'm hoping it'll do okay. But I'm going to put a lot of salt on it. Salt's cheap, so no reason to skimp on it. It's only going to make your hide better. Get a good covering. go. I'm just going to fold the tail back in. Roll the hide up. That one's ready to go. Well, that's the first day of tanning. We got all the salt on everything. We have to come back tomorrow, clean all that salt off, and resalt them again, and then we'll go from there. Okay, this is day 2. Our pelts have been sitting in the salt for 24 hours. We're going to remove this salt and go ahead and resalt them again and leave them for another 24 hours. I just take one of my wedges, muskrat wedge I think, and I just bang them off. You can see it's already soaking up a lot of that grease is in them. And I just take a brush, knock off the big stuff. Alright, I come right back over here and I repeat the process, do the same thing again. You can tell that the hide's already starting to dry out some. The salt doesn't really stick like it did the first day. So we'll make sure you get it good and covered again. Roll her back up and do it again. Okay, y'all, this is day 3. We've had our pelts salted twice for 24 hours each time. It's time to go ahead and start our salt bath now. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is, it says to heat up your water good and hot to help dissolve the salt. I got 10 gallons of water, so I'm putting 5 pounds of salt. You're gonna put a half a pound of salt per gallon of water. So we're gonna go ahead and start adding that. Now I'll stir it up just to help dissolve it some. You want to let this go till the water cools back down. You don't really want the water hot like this. So it's just dissolve the salt. Once this water cools down, we'll come on back and put our furs in there. We'll just let it sit and cool for a bit. Feels like the water's cooled off enough. We're gonna go ahead and add our hides to the salt bath now. We're gonna basically clean them off like we did the first time, get all the old used salt off of them. You don't have to get it all, but not really doing much good now. Try and catch as much of this salt as I can, because it will kill your grass. I'm going to be putting gravel out here, so I'm not terribly worried about it, but I just don't want 20 pounds of salt out here. Alright, we got all the hides in there. Get all the air out of them. It'll take a little while. I'll come out here 2 or 3 times in a 24-hour period and stir them around. Make sure they're all getting covered real good. Okay, our hides have been soaking in our salt bath for 24 hours now. We're going to go ahead and take them out and rinse them in some clean water, hang them up in the fur shed, and go ahead and let them drip dry for a while. Want to move them around pretty good, flip them inside out, try and get all the extra salt out of them. Sorry about the wind, it's mighty windy today. What I like to do while the hides are still real pliable, I like to work on the head real good, because the head to me is the hardest place to work on when you're doing hides. I'll get off any little pieces, but you can tell it's turned pretty white now, but you can see there's still some spots with fat on it. And when this dries up, what I'll do is I'll put a wire brush on it and clean it up a little bit, and that'll take care of all that. But I just like to work on the head while it's still wet and pliable. All right, these hides have been hanging drip drying for 24 hours. As you can tell, they're pretty much, most of them are dry. But you can see this top area around the top of the back. I put a wire brush on it, but you have to be real careful not to go too deep. So what I'm going to do today is go ahead, I'm going to put a Dremel tool on it, clean up some of this around the head, because I like to get the head as flexible as I can. Right now it's still pretty stiff, so before I apply the tannin solution, I like to get all this as thin as I can up here. Everything else looks good back here, but it's usually trouble areas right here. So I'm gonna get started doing that. Okay guys, you can see I took a lot of that down. That's gonna make it a lot easier. Once we tan it, it's gonna be a lot easier to break this area up here. This area back here is no problem, but this is so thick, it's got so much membrane that it makes it a whole lot easier to break this part of the hide once we start the tanning process. Okay guys, next step, I'm gonna wash these hides, Dawn dishwashing detergent, and rinse them. I'm gonna do this twice. The bottle says to do them twice since the raccoon, so I'm gonna go ahead and do them 2 times and then hang them up and let them start drip drying again. Okay y'all, we're down to the tanning process now. I've took my Deer Hunter's hide tanning formula. All the instructions are on the back, but it says to go ahead and heat this up in hot water. So I've had it over here I had some boiling water, let it cool down a little bit, and put them in there, let them soak for about 20 minutes. And then I shook them up real good. We got our hides ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and apply it, and then we're going to turn it inside out, first side out, and then let it hang for 24 hours. So I just got me a little brush. And you just want to make sure you get it everywhere good on this flesh side of this hide. I put it on pretty liberally. I don't know, I may overdo it, but you know, I figure it's not going to hurt anything. Not real sure what's in this, but I would suggest wearing gloves. It may not be that bad, but you know, you always want to make sure you get the tail real good. You don't have any fur slip. Flip her over and start the other side. And this hide is still a little bit damp. It's not wet, but it's not dry completely. So, you know, you got to kind of find that in between so it's still pliable, but it'll still soak up the tannin formula. If it's completely dry, you know, it may not permeate down into it good. Alright, once I get that on there, I'm going to rub this in really good. I want to make sure it gets down in the skin. Normally I would do this outside. I mean, there's no real smell to it or anything. It doesn't bother you, but I like trying to work outside when I can, but we've had rain for the last 2 days. I figured I'd move the operation inside. Okay, we've got it rubbed in really good. What I'm going to do now is turn it fur side out and let it hang for about 24 hours. Alright guys, we got all the tannin solution on the coons. Flipped them back fur side out. We'll let them hang for 24 hours. Then come back in here tomorrow, turn them back out, and we'll start breaking the hides. Okay y'all, you can tell this is where I roughed this fur up when it was still a little bit wet. Remember I told you it'd make it easier when you get to the breaking process. But this is starting to get dry. It's only the second day of drying, so it really could use another day. But you can hear it's getting crunchy like a piece of paper now. So you can start working it. What I do is I rough work it on a piece of rebar I got in my vise. But then once I get it started breaking in, you know, I don't like to be too rough on the hide, so I swap over to mink board because it's got the rounded edge and I can work it a lot better without having to worry about tearing the hide. So, but I mean, I just start working this hide. I've been working this hide on this mink board. I did the initial breaking on the piece of rebar, but I don't like to use it a lot. I like to use something with rounder edges on it. But as you can tell, this thing's got really soft. It's almost done. I'll probably touch it up a few places like the tail with my Dremel tool, but for the most part, it's broke pretty good. And what I do when I'm done is I'll take a light piece of sandpaper and sand it down to get any of these little fuzzies off of it. But it's pretty much broke. You can see it's soft. So I think they turned out really good. The thing I like about doing the raccoons is it seems like every raccoon has its own color pattern. They go all the way from the real darks to a red. Some of these others got a lot of red in them. They're all caught in the same area. They just, for some reason, they all have different colors to them. Well, that was a fun little project. I like to do a few of them every year here at the house. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you liked it, how about give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button for me, and I'll see y'all on the next one.